Holbrook New Media.
This is Jeffrey K. Holbrook. Welcome to the audio feed from holbrooknewmedia.com. Today, Geoff and Jeffrey, the weekly catch-up. We hope you enjoy the audio version. If you want to see what we look like, I will embed the video for this episode at holbrooknewmedia.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Catch-Up. And joining us, as always, our co-host of the Weekly Catch-Up, Jeffrey K. Holbrook. Good morning, Mr. Holbrook.
Good evening, sir. Episode 27. Like you say, we've been doing this for quite a while. Really good to be doing this again. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I do look forward to every week of our catch-up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so hot. It never gets consistent. And after since Monday, it's been relatively cool all week. So now we say cool, but it's 15, 16 degrees. So what's that? About 68 or something degrees, 60 or something, I think. So.
Yep.
But that's what's started our week.
We were having temperatures last week of around 70 degrees. That is Fahrenheit, of course. And now our temperatures are hanging in the 30s. But for us, that's quite cold since water freezes at 32 degrees. And, I've been meaning to get an actual chart right here that I could have beside of me that would tell me, like have the two scales side by side so we can do, Fahrenheit and Celsius and all that stuff. And I still haven't gotten around to doing that.
Well, I was just about to do that before we came on, and I thought, there's something else I've got to do. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I was going to put the Fahrenheit because I know I don't understand what the Fahrenheits are. Because we're here, you can judge, 37, it's hot. Mm-hmm. But all I know is when we get to our about 43, I think that's about 113. Wow. So I just always, when we get to that sort of temperature, I know that's around about the 113. So
see, whenever we're in the 30s, we're actually wearing jackets and things like that. When it starts getting down close to 30, then we're wearing heavier coats, because it's getting down below freezing here. And that's the way it's been the last few days, 2 or 3 days.
Well, what it did here, with it getting from hot to so cold, and the wind blowing up and there's about 4 or 5 people died from asthma attacks because of the pollen it picked up because of all of a sudden for the quick change. Mm-hmm. And there's about 4 people died from it. So,
oh wow,
because the asthma, because it just comes on all of a sudden, and the hospitals were overwhelmed with the asthma sufferers, because of just such the quick change, and it sort of whipped up all I suppose all the pollens and all that disturb and make a problem when people suffer from asthma. I'm lucky I've never ever have suffered from that. So, but I thought just.
A lot of people around here have allergies, but when it comes down to it, we have a period of time here where I live at. We live in the woods. I mean, we have 7 acres of our own, but 6 of it's full woods, and then there's 4 houses on about 100 acres of woods, and so we end up with this 2-week period in the spring, which we're not, like I say, we're just now going into winter. It's still the fall, but in December it'll go into the winter. We have this 2-week period in the spring where there's so much green pollen falling everywhere. I mean, if you have a white car, it will be green, and so you basically have to chew to breathe. I mean, it's almost that, it's like, so yeah, it's really kind of sad. And so, but there's a lot of people that really have trouble. Now, we never have. It's so bad that you hear about people dying from asthma attacks. I mean, people have asthma, and a lot of people have allergies, but you never hear of any actual fatalities from asthma attacks during our pollen season and stuff around here.
Yeah, well, usually we don't hear, but I think it just came on all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. It just caught people by surprise, and it was just overwhelming. But it's just, it's even sad when when the tragedy happens, but just being normal, just asthma sort of doing that to you when you want fine 1 minute and gone the next.
Mhm.
I thought, it's just shocking. I just can't imagine how those poor families are feeling at the moment, just thinking everything was fine on the beginning of the day and not by the end of the damn day. So, but it's those sort of things that make you, like we always say, make you feel lucky in
Yes.
life. That you've always moaned and groaned about things, and you think, hey, what have I got to worry about? That there's some poor people really suffering out there, and you just moan about some, everyday thing, and you think, yeah, that really puts you back into your place, doesn't it? I think.
Oh, it totally does. You remember last week when we were talking about I asked you if there were sirens in your place, and it turns out they were here. You couldn't hear
Yes.
them, but I could hear them outside the window.
I heard them a bit, yes.
What actually happened was, now again, this is in the country, so it's in a relative thing, but one of our neighbors 2 houses over, which is, several hundred yards in that direction, their house caught on fire.
Oh,
I mean, it was over, like you say, way over there. It wasn't close enough except I could see traffic stuck down on the road down there. And when I got up, it was completely backed up. It had been ambulances and fire trucks and things. And you can't see it from the front of their house, which you can see as the road goes under it. But when you go around the side, the back part of their roof is completely burned up and gone. And it turns out that, no one was hurt or anything, but it was really a kind of a shocking thing. People were calling us since they knew it was close to our house and asking us what happened. And so, but it was 3 or 4 days before we actually were able to find out what had actually happened. And yeah, I mean, that's just really sad. And you just appreciate the fact that your house is still here, and didn't catch on fire, because that's really a very scary thing.
yeah, because and you always think, I always think when you hear about that, you think, I've got to prepare. What would I do if my house caught on fire? But you don't, do you? It would all be panic. You think you should be prepared and you'd have everything ready, but it's just the sheer panic. And I think the fear is, and it's like we all do this, is we all try and get our possessions, and that's the least important thing. Yourself and your people, and the animal, they're the things. You get that out, and that's it.
Right. The only the people and the animals, the people first, animals second. The only things that I would really grieve if we lost would be the photo albums. We have a few years of of video from the old VHS camera days where it was up on your shoulder and stuff. Things like that. If you could grab those and make sure you had those with you, then that would be a good thing. But like the computer, my trusty microphone, and all of these things in here would be replaceable. Everything's replaceable.
Right. But you get attached and you think, oh, that. But I was actually thinking the other week, I thought I should go. There was a thing at one of the hardware stores, and like a fireproof safe. And it wasn't so much for the fact that it was a safe, more so that it was fireproof. Mm-hmm. Thinking and it was big enough to put your photos in and put all your documents in. So if you did get that sort of problem, it would be safe at least, because that's what I thought. You could put a hard disk, copy of all your videos or whatever in there, and I thought your passport, and that's the main thing: your passport, birth certificate, deed to your house, mm-hmm. and all the things that you need to claim for the insurance, your insurance policy. Mm-hmm. But it's like everything. People worry to death about, oh, what if I ain't got my insurance policy? It's like a password on thing. You can get it. It's just an inconvenience.
Right.
You'll be able to prove that you are you eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I say, whenever you make a claim, you've got to itemize so many things, and it doesn't hurt. Now, a lot of people will do this with musical equipment or their electronics or things, but they'll ask you, how many pairs of underwear do you have? And you have to put that on the list. And I mean, so you can buy all this stuff back. And it's kind of an interesting thing that, it would be a good idea to make sure that you at least had some idea or some list somewhere of a lot of the things that you would on average have,
Well, they say people like us, we've got the video equipment, they should go around and video things. Mm-hmm. And then that's a good thing, as long as that doesn't go up in the fire as well.
Mm-hmm. So, well, like I say, you could actually, with a friend, video really the whole interior of your house. So you can see all these little things, and then you can watch the video. And, oh, hey, that's a Logitech C920 camera.
Yeah.
Okay, and and then you see all that, and you see it, and you're writing everything down as you see it, and just swap with a friend that lives somewhere else.
And the thing is, I do this every year when the insurance policy is due. It says, what's the house worth to replace and what's the contents. And everybody said, now, have you got enough for your content? It really adds up quickly. And then I do add things up and think, hang on. Yes, there's all this, and that. But if it did go, what do I really need? That's what an insurance policy is for. It said most of this stuff you've accumulated over years you may never use. They said, but it's like over the years you've got all these DVDs you've collected that might cost it. But hey, if you didn't insure them, it's not the end of the world. As I said, my things I think is the things that you need essential to carry on life, that would make you comfortable. And that's usually when you add that up, it's not a lot of money really. We do have like it's this, but it's like I say for microphone, I've got the 5 microphones, but really, if I've got one, replace a decent one, that would do me. And same thing with the video camera and all that. So, but I think I'm in some cases overinsured, but I think it's always better to be slightly overinsured than underinsured.
Yeah, as long as you don't reach the threshold of insurance poor, which is a term around here, to where you're paying so much in insurance premiums that you can barely afford to live.
Well, and the thing is, I think it's, you pay all your premiums, and I hope it's the biggest waste of money out.
Yes.
Because I never want, and people say, I said, I don't care if I've wasted all that money. It means my house hasn't burnt down. I haven't lost this. I haven't had to go through. I don't care that I'm glad to waste that money each year. I never had to claim things. Some people think it's, when they have insurance for it's their right to claim for something and that. But no, I'm definitely of the opinion it is an insurance, and I hope I never have to claim on it.
Sounds like a really good thing to me. So what did you do in tech this week, or what are you doing in tech this week?
Well, this week we haven't had tech down over for a couple of weeks because I don't know if I told you, but Rick's moving office.
No, I didn't know that.
He was moving office, and of course, when you don't realize when you're moving, you've got to make sure you've got internet connection and all that. And when you go offline, you need your internet when you've got broadcasting things to do. And they had the Fios going in, and then that wasn't in the new office, so they had to wait to do that. So I think they're moving in actually probably today your time. I think they're actually moving. Oh, okay. But hopefully be up by, I think, in the first week in December. I think that's when we should be up and going. But in the meantime, what I was trying to do, I don't know if you caught my little pre-show YouTube live stream. Did you? No.
I watched one, but it turned out to be one of the older ones. I was on there watching yesterday, and I picked up one of the older ones, but I didn't pick up one you just did.
I just came on before and just created a live stream because I was trying to hook up to the RelateCast live YouTube stream because I've got the key and the password, but I couldn't figure it out, and I ended up going on to ours as well because I thought if you didn't tick the box, it wouldn't do that. So I thought, no, give up while I'm ahead. I'll end up wrecking this show's. So I thought I'll wait until that and do it on a different day when I don't have to get this stream going. But I'd really like to do that. Then I could, if his office isn't ready, if we just got me and him, Rick and I could do the show from my end because I've also got the ones hooked up with all the RelateCast things and that. So.
Then all he would have to do is Skype, and it would be a 2-guy show. Off you go.
Yep, that's right, and that's all we could do that as well. So, because now I've done that, that's really good. But I just want to hook into his YouTube account because it'd be good. Then I don't have to record it on mine, stream it, then put it onto his. I can record straight into that. So, and Rick's more than happy if we wanted to move to the RelateCast broadcast and have that tag on the end. We can do that with that as well and be part of the Relate.
Well, that sounds great.
Choose that, but not just on our own then. So, it's more than happy for us to do that. So and I promise you, Rick, if you're watching, we'll keep up the top quality production towards the Relate casts. So it's quality recording. We won't say anything wrong.
Oh yeah, and as to that end, I went ahead and got rid of my great big head earphones. So try to get something a little smaller this time.
I was going to say, that's what it was. I just said, you don't usually wear it. It's like somebody who wears a hat all the time.
Yes.
I thought, you wear a hat.
Now you can see how bald I really am.
You wear a hat, but there's something different about you, and that's what it is.
No, like I said, I have some hair back here, but yeah, so it was kind of sitting right here and hiding how bald I was. So now it's.
I got to the stage at one stage where, I thought they were comfortable always to wear, and that on, and now I'll start feeling a bit silly.
Oh,
I don't know why, but now I've got just the nice. I think that's better. I'm even getting to the stage where I didn't like the microphone show in the shot, so I'm on this one at the moment, or this one, going through that at the moment, but on the other one, but outside of the shot as well, because they do quite a good job. It's quite amazing how I even thought that one pointing up just out of the shot. It really does a fantastic job, but at least this one, no matter where I'm looking or pointing, it comes with me. So, and these weren't terribly expensive.
Well, no, that one sounds great. I really like the sound of it. I've kind of gotten used to using this, and being a podcaster, you kind of always have to show your microphone, but it's still, no, it isn't just that. But where I'm doing my local recording here, it is, I'm getting a really good sound out of this for my own local recording, and it does seem to work well for what you're doing there too. So I kind of hesitate to change and maybe have a bad recording at some point or something like that. But yeah,
the way really though, that yours isn't in the way. It's just in a nice position. It doesn't, like some of the ones that you see, you can't sit, they're right in somebody's face. But you can see your face clearly. It's just really nice.
Well, there's also a mic technique thing about that too, because most people will take a dynamic microphone like this and they put it right here, which mostly you do. However, the cardioid thing is around here, so the best thing to do is talk through it, talk right past it.
And that's right. And that always gets rid of, and that's why you get a lot of the plosives when people speak straight in. You really should always try and speak across it, shouldn't you? Because
it works a lot better.
And you won't get any of the plosives in that as well. But yours sounds perfect on that. You can't hear. As I said, it even struggled last week to get the fire engine. I heard a little bit, but the amount of noise that they make, you could say, well, gee, that did a damn good job. It was just a little bit of noise we heard last week, so not much at all.
Well, there are several things that actually happen to this room that you can't hear because, again, I'm a real fan of this mic here. It's the Audio-Technica AT 2005. But right now there is a refrigerator running about 10 feet back that way.
Oh.
Okay, so you can't hear that. There's a furnace vent on the wall right behind where you can see the sound treatment over there. There's a register on the wall, and it makes a reasonable whistling noise that you can't hear. You don't hear it come on or off. And then, like you say, I was hearing sirens. I thought it was you, but it turns out it was me. So, but I do have some sound treatment in the room here, but I specifically want to use this microphone instead of a condenser for that very reason. If I switched to a condenser that was out of the shot, maybe over my head or something like that, then you would hear the refrigerator, you would hear the vent behind me, and you also could have really well heard the sirens that were going along outside. And so I'm kind of happy with my setup. I got rid of the big old headphones, and like you say, the sound on this microphone, it sometimes rivals some of the larger broadcast dynamic mics that you see in studios.
And that's what I like with this one. With it's a condenser mic, but the thing is with that, because it's so small and so close, it still doesn't pick up a lot of the outside noise. And then I run it through the Aphex, which helps just localize the sound round there and cuts out a lot of the outside without dampening it too much. So, like you said, if you had the other one, it can be quite a bit noisy, and it picks up everything. And especially if the noise is behind me, it will pick it up. It's behind the mic, not so bad. But the thing is, I find the problem with those ones is is you hear everything, but not necessarily. That doesn't come through all the time.
Right.
So what I do with this one, I don't know if you know. Now with you, I'm listening to you, but I've got nothing in this ear because I've stopped listening to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you listen and you hear too much, and you think, well, I'm looking at the meters whether I'm peaking or not. Mm-hmm. So that's all I do. But I thought, don't listen to yourself because I hear. You probably can't hear it there, but when I'm monitoring myself, I can hear the dog snoring in the background quite plain. And I thought, but I don't know. He's been grunting and groaning before, and I don't know if you can hear him doing that. So
occasionally, I will hear the dog. The other day, I was making the podcast version of the show off of my recording, and you said, "Welcome to the weekly catch up." And I was thinking, what was that? And I think, oh, okay. That was William. And so, there really wasn't anything to do with it, and I'm sure nobody probably really noticed it, but I'm like, what is that? What is that? It was William.
You just said that's a horrible time to clear your throat, Jeffrey.
Yeah, exactly.
Dog snoring, but I can't. No, I just can't throw. Well, if I threw him outside, it would be worse. You'd hear him crying and barking. So I thought a bit of snoring. I should have a long stick just to poke him a little bit to wake him up or something. So he just moves around so he doesn't start snoring. But I can't.
Doesn't hurt a thing.
So I thought it doesn't matter. The occasional snoring. And if he makes too much, I'll just take my foot off the switch when you're talking, because he does that some other times. And if you're talking, sometimes I'll take my foot off off the cough switch, so it mutes it automatically, and then we don't get that problem with William. But anyway, it puts just that little bit of difference into the show as well.
Oh, sure, yeah. It kind of takes a vacation from the scintillating drivel, as we were talking about.
Well, that's right.
We say, at least everybody like, what's that? No, one of the things about, like, you have the condenser, then you have the Aphex, which provides compression to make sure you cut out things that you don't necessarily want. I have a much cheaper version of what's going on because a dynamic microphone, because the frequency response is less than what you're going to get on a condenser. This actually provides poor man's compression, if that's what you want to call it. And so that's why you're not picking up all of these other things, because it has a lower dynamic range. So there you go. It's actually kind of like you say, a poor man's compression if you go ahead and use a dynamic instead of a condenser.
Well, I've got the Rode Procaster, which is a dynamic one, which is quite good. But I like to put it through I've got the Aphex, but that doesn't work very well through the Aphex.
Really?
But I do have it just doesn't, because it's
very gain hungry, I know.
Yeah, very strange. But if I put it through the Presonus, I've got another Presonus sort of like a processor, and that's a cheaper one, but that does okay for that one. It does the gain okay. But the Aphex, it's just really meant for a condenser mic. I think it just doesn't do very well on dynamic mics. But I mean, as I said, I didn't think I'd ever need something like the Aphex, but it's not a dead essential, but it really makes a big difference just that little bit extra difference in the sound. But some people go overboard and then it sounds too bassy and all that. So I hope mine doesn't sound too bassy.
No, I've been really thrilled on my end, the sound I'm getting. Of course, it limits it and compresses it coming over Skype, but the sound that I'm getting on my recordings with that microphone and with your Aphex, it's been great. What I'm trying to do is to get mine to match yours. So actually, mine is real dynamic, where it's a local recording on my own, and so I'm up and down. I'm not peaking, but it's just up and down, up and down. And so what I do is try to get mine to be less dynamic to match yours closer.
Oh, okay.
And then because they're on separate tracks, and then I put them together and do the final product. But yeah,
I never used to use this one too much, because just through the normal thing, just straight through the computer, was just too much. There was nice, but now it's loud, but just overpowering. Whereas the Aphex, you've got more control of the gain. It was either too much or too little, whereas I can have better pickup, but it doesn't do it so high. So I've just got to watch the meters, because on this on Wirecast, some of the things, it's not going very high at all, but it does a really good job. Whereas other ones, like it goes nearly right up to the top and is very quiet.
Oh.
But this, it's not doing much, but it does come out with a great quality. So I'm more than satisfied with that anyway. So, but I've been this week into the sound a bit this week. I think I told you the other week, I've got my eye on another keyboard. Did I tell you?
Yes. You were saying it was really, really cool.
Yes, another one to complement my other Yamaha, but it's a Korg Kronos 2. So, and I said, isn't that, when I went, I said, isn't that the home planet of the Klingons?
Yes. Let's see. Yeah. Kronos. Yeah, that is. And then that moon that blew up was Praxis. And yeah.
Praxis, but Kronos. And I said, isn't that the home world of the Klingons? And they said, oh, yes. Well, I looked it up and it was, but I've seen that they've got the Kronos 2. And I'll tell you what, like as I said, I've been out of the music side for about 25 years. I'd had a keyboard, and then, you know how you just get on with other things. I'll get back to that. And then 1 year goes, and it's just a huge gap. And now since I've got the Yamaha, the Tyros 5, I'm really enjoying that. But with I've seen this Korg, and I want to get that as well, because one of the things why I want to get it as well, it's got the full 88 keys.
Ah, perfect. Yeah.
Fully weighted. So fully weighted like a proper piano.
Wow. Okay.
So that's what I want, because I want to get back into it. And the keyboard's okay with Tyros, but it's all easy. I want to learn a bit better and have that weighted key, so you have to do a bit of effort. Because sometimes the keyboard with that easy, it sometimes makes it a little bit harder. Don't know how to explain that, but when it's easy, when you've got to it makes it a bit easy when you've got that little bit of force on the keys as well. So
yeah, it feels real.
Yeah, but some of the things it can do, it just amazes me. And I was seeing one of the things it does, it emulates one of their earlier Korgs. And I remember my brother got one of them round in about 1978, and I thought, oh, he had one of them with a little key where you had all remember the old switchboards where you had the plug. Well, that's what you had to do with that. You plugged that one into to make that sound, put this chord into that one you had to patch all the different things to make all the different sounds. And in this, the Kronos, it does the same thing, but on a panel. So you've got the old Korg synthesizer, but you patch it there, you plug it in there to make all the different sounds. But it's, they've just come along so much I'm just quite awed in all the quality and the different things that they do have. And one of the great features I love with the new ones is, even since mine just 2 years ago, you get all these fantastic settings, but like on my Yamaha, when you change the setting to a different, if you're in the middle of performing a song, you've got to make sure, okay, now I'll press change. Because if you press it in the middle, it cuts off your things and when you and nearly frightened, or else you've just got to wait, and then you lose a couple of bars because you're waiting until you can press that and then start playing again. But with the new ones, while you've got that while you hold it down, you can change it, and it won't do it until you push, and then it change. And I think it's just fantastic. It's seamless. And with the 88 keys, you can program different. So when you get up to a different, it's got different sounds on different keys. So if you want
you can have breaks, and then it would be a different sound further up. Then you can just switch up there and play and then come back down.
Or if you know about it, whenever you get up there, it's just the same piano, but then you have a backing when you get up to the higher notes, and that's the only thing that's stopping me from getting it. I just think I love these things, but I think, see, these are made for professional musicians, these things, and I thought I'm definitely not a professional musician. But then again, I thought I've got cameras like that; they're made for professional people too. But I'm not that. But it's
well, how else are you going to get professional until you get the tools?
That's right. But then people say you could do it with a lot less. But hey, the thing is, I know I could get, say the piano keys and something that had the same feel for about $1,000. But I thought I wouldn't enjoy it as much. And also as well, when you're learning something, you've got to have things that can give you a lot of fun along the way.
Well, sure.
And one of the great things with these ones, you can set the piano in it is phenomenal. Like, I just can't explain. Like the Yamaha, it's got a nice sounding piano, but what the Kronos does as well is when you play a piano, when you play a piano and you hold your hand down on some keys, and when the noise is stopped, if you press your keys there, those keys will still resonate on a proper piano, because when that string vibrates, all the other strings vibrate.
Sure, yeah, around it.
But on a normal keyboard, that doesn't do that. But on the Kronos, it does. So if you press
it's real,
so it really does the proper sound of a keyboard, and you can see it's where on some of them and say they just sample a lot of sound, but this one actually goes from a solid state hard drive.
Oh, okay.
So it's a fully fledged computer, and as I said, some people was on about these ones that had the 6 gig, and it's got a 40 terabyte or 2 terabyte hard drive or something in there, or a terabyte hard drive or something in there. Maybe I'm overstating that, but it's a huge solid state hard drive in there, which just makes fantastic. But as I said, the quality and even the piano, it's a grand piano, one of the ones you're playing, and you can lift the lid up in the diagram, and that makes it sound like opens up the sound, because that's the lid of a grand piano. It gets more open, and if you want to muffle it a bit, you shut the lid.
Oh, wow.
And I was reading somewhere where somebody said the Kronos is great, but it is a learning curve. But this fellow got one. He said that was the only downside he found. But then I saw a video of him 6 months later, still with the Kronos. He said, but now he's learned it. It's not that bad after all. But I suppose it's like everything else. When it's new, it is always quite awkward.
I remember once we had a family singing group for like 20 years, and you can see my bass guitar back there behind me. I was the bass player, but my brother was the keyboard player, and we were told that we were the first. They called them synthesizers back then, back in the 70s, and we were told that my brother was that we were the first group locally of any genre that were traveling live with a synthesizer keyboard. And so, so what's funny is one time we were at this, it was our church, and we were having an outdoor revival in a tent, and this really big, well-known group came in, and they had, you wouldn't believe the equipment they had and everything. And we were all church musicians. And so instead of setting up our stuff in the middle of what they had, they just said, yeah, why don't you just use ours? We'll control the sound from back here. You won't have to worry about anything. Okay. So I pick up a guitar that's worth more than I am, a bass. And my brother, so funny, my brother was used to playing, this one keyboard that he played. They had a bank of about 6 or 8 keyboards.
He would have been in heaven, wouldn't he?
And so anyway, he comes up. It's so funny. He's an engineer now, but he's a very, very thoughtful, deliberate person. And so he walks up, and I see him, and he's looking around at these different keyboards, putting his hands on stuff, and he turns and looks at me, and it's kind of like, because of all these keyboards, and he was pretty excited about that. That was exciting.
But I remember those early synthesizers, like my brother's one. They were monophonic. Well, no,
yes,
not. Was it monophonic?
Polyphonic was the ones that came up with later, but the monophonic were the early ones, and they would do their best to make something just one sound, whatever.
One key at a time, you couldn't press more than one key.
Right.
You couldn't do two. You could only do one key, and if you happen to not take your finger off the other one before, you never got the other note. And I thought, this is quite strange. And like you were saying, with the bank of keyboards that the traveling bands used to have, now they've got nearly everything in one keyboard. I was listening when you look for something, you go on the internet and look at who's got them. And John Carpenter, the movie producer who did all the Halloweens and that. I was just watching on them that before he started doing films, he was a music composer. I didn't know that. So he did that. So he thought, rather than paying somebody out extravagant, to do he thought, I'll do my own film score. So he did all the Halloween things, The Escape from New York, for Fog. But he's a keyboard player, and his son's done a lot of work like that. But he's got one of the Korgs, the Kronoses and that. So, but I've just got to justify the expense. I know I'd love it, and I'll get something out of it because it's the sort of thing that I can play, do any. Other than that's the thing where with the keyboard, other than the cameras, with the cameras I have to go out of my way to use them. You have to think of a thing and go out and do that. But a keyboard, I can just quickly jump on there, have half an hour here, half an hour there, and do that. You can do it all the time. But maybe I might get good enough one day that I might actually go and do something with it. But it's the sort of thing, it doesn't matter. I enjoy that as well. And with these new ones, it's a bit of a challenge. I'm into the computers, into the photography and all that, and you can do the whole thing with that. You can produce a song with the sequencing, with all the MIDI recorders. Like you can do, like you said, I could do with the bass line on the keyboard, and then I can do all the different ones, but by myself, but just do a whole arrangement to put that together. So, and I was just able to, the Rocky Horror Show. I got the one of the books from that, and with the books came along a free download for just the MP4 backing track.
Oh, cool! And
so I could put that onto the Yamaha, so I can play the main part on that and just have them as a backing. This was fantastic.
That would be cool, yeah.
And it was really fun to do.
I think it's really cool that you're getting back into that. The bass back there behind me, like you say, I bought that in 1988, and it's a Fender Precision bass, and I love it. It's my buddy, but I am starting to get so arthritic. Like, I don't know if you'll be able to see this finger, how crooked this finger is here.
Yeah.
You see how crooked that is? Okay, this finger won't bend all the way down, and so I'm starting to have some arthritis problems, and so I don't know if I'll ever play again, and I haven't been playing normally, but I'm beginning to think that whenever I retire, that it's a good thing that I'm doing things with my voice. I can still sing if I need to, or whatever, and I do occasionally, but it's a good thing I'm doing things with my voice, because that may be all I have left whenever I get retired.
Hopefully my finger, I haven't had any problems, so hopefully we're about this. So hopefully I'll have at least 10 years good playing. But
supposedly the exercise will kind of keep things limber for you, and maybe getting that consider it therapy. Buy the keyboard, and we'll call it therapy.
That therapy. So can I claim that on as a tax relief?
Perfect.
I don't think I can do that. The thing is with the keyboard, what I'm trying to do now, I'm going back to basics as well, because after years of playing, like there's ways you're supposed to do things. It's a bit like the computer keyboard. When you start off, you're down there, single finger typist. And I made a point years ago, I can't do this, so I didn't look at the keys. I learned how to touch type. I did hours and hours of practice touch typing, and I'm so glad I did, because with the job I've got now, I just couldn't survive if I had to look at the keyboard. With all the typing you have to do, you just have to look at the screen, and you can do that. And same thing with the keyboard. You'd be playing it, but when you go back to it, you think, hang on, I'm having trouble that, and then you realize you're not using the correct fingers, and that's why you can't get to the note in time, because so I'm going back to basics, and I feel like a little kid trying to learn again, because I can do that, but no, I can't. I've got to do it with this finger, and it's really got to do the right one. And then, but even just in a short time in the last few weeks, when I've sort of been doing say more in the piano side. It's amazing how with just like you say, 15, 20 minutes practice a day doing the same scale, do that one, how better you get in doing the right fingering. But it's still, then I try not to go and play a lot of my normal music with it, because you slip back into the bad habits. So I'm trying to do that. So
yeah, I had somebody at work the other day say that they wish, that they had the time to learn to play this particular instrument or something like that. And I said, well, you don't have to worry about that. All you have to do is to include working with the thing daily, or however many times a week. What you do, you set up a routine, and you just do that and consider that part of your routine. You'll get used to that routine, and then a year, 2 years, 3 years later, you'll look back, and all of a sudden you'll say, I'm a piano player. When did that happen? You just have to make it part of your routine. Don't worry about it. Just make it part of your routine. Do it every day. Play with it, learn new things, keep it interesting. And then all of a sudden you'll look back and realize that you are a musician and you're not really quite sure when it happened.
And it's a bit like with the riding is one of the things they teach you when you're riding the horse, and that when you're learning to do that is always, as I said, always finish on a good note. Don't go riding your horse for 3 hours badly. If you're riding 20 minutes and you're going really well and you can feel things coming undone, because hey, finish on a good note. Because also horses, they say they remember the last 5 minutes of what you did. And so if you get off when the last 5 minutes with them arguing with you and giving you a hard time, that's all they remember for the next time. And so they just, oh God, here we go again. But you finish on a good note. They're happy. You're happy. And it's the same thing with music. Practice and that. But if you're losing it, do something, go finish. As it says, it's no point practicing for 4 hours and you're not getting it because you just annoy yourself. You put yourself off, and you're better off having, like we said, 15, 20 minutes every day rather than 3 hours once a week that you're going to get so annoyed with. But like, I know, as you were saying, lots of people say, oh, I haven't got time for this, I haven't got time for that. But even when I say, oh, you haven't got time, I think, hang on. Even when we're doing this and it's on this time of year, it might be about 10 o'clock when we finish. I don't just switch off and go to bed. I might go down and watch a bit of TV for an hour. But if I want to do that, I could decide, well, I'll do 20 minutes practice. And so like most people, there's always going to be some time. It's just they choose not to. Like instead of watching a video, or instead of going and watching a bit of YouTube, or I'd have to do a little bit of practice. But like you said, it's just that habit to get in and say, oh, I haven't got enough time to concentrate on that. It doesn't matter. Do something that you know already. If you think like what I do, if I haven't got I'll just do some finger exercise, some scales. And that's really because it's getting your fingers around the keyboard. But I think I'm a little bit lucky. I remember all the reading the music and that, so I don't have a problem. I know where all the notes are on the keyboard. That doesn't faze me. But I always struggled with the bass clef, but I'm getting better at that now. I used to always all cows eat grass in the middle, and George bought drums from Africa. I always remember that. But then that's always the treble clef was fine, but it was always that bass clef that got me. But there was just one person. I was just watching, how no matter how much you've learnt something, there's always somebody who can tell you something. Gee, now that's a good thing to remember. And it was just that, where, just to remember, because I lose it a bit with the treble clef. I don't know if you do, when you get more than 2 lines above the lines, when it's just know what the lines, and I thought, oh, how do you read that to count that up? And they just said, just keep in mind if it's the note 2, 2 below, 2 above and 2 below is always C. And then you can always count up. And I thought, oh, that's such a good thing, because you would never think about that, because he said, oh, you could C, and then you could say, oh, D's the next one, and count up from that. But these little tricks, I'd never even thought about that. But luckily, most of the music is contained in the not too hot, but when you're doing the piano, a lot of that's in the bass clef to do the left hand. So
yeah, there's an awful lot going on whenever you're playing a keyboard.
Yeah, that's right. But it just well, I had the experience with in the younger days with the organ, which they had the left and the right hand and the left foot as well, because the bass pedals on there that you had to do that. So it's a bit easier when you don't have that to worry about, when you don't have the bass line to do with your foot as well. So, yeah, no, I'm not convinced about getting this Kronos. I think you've talked me into it, Geoff.
Therapy. See for somebody on your other shoulder saying, no, don't do it. Therapy. I think, I think it's time to do it. I think it's time to do it. One of the things I'm going to do this evening, I am going to you've heard me talk before about the Cinema Toast Crunch podcast.
Oh,
where
yes,
they
yes.
do movie reviews and everything like that. Well, they have Garvis Reed, who is the main guy on there. He's the guy with all the movie knowledge and everything. He's going to be. They got flooded out. I told you about that back in the day. Whenever they had that huge flood here in West Virginia. And so now they are finally they had to do some remodeling and everything. They bought another house and they had to do some remodeling. Well, they are in their house now, and now they're in there. And so he's got him an actual podcast studio. He's all getting all set up. So what he's going to do, he's the main host of the show. But there's 3 or 4 of us, I think, that are going to be popping in from time to time and reviewing movies with him. And he's just going to set it up. And I think any of us can pop in on Wednesday evening at 7:00 to actually do shows with him. So, as we can, we'll pop in, and if nobody can do it, he'll just do it by himself. But anyway, we're going to have a joint show this evening, which is Wednesday evening for us. And we're going to go down there tonight and actually have a show, and he's going to introduce everybody, and everybody goes, hi, and I'll get to say, hey, I've been a fan since the beginning, and I'm the resident audio snob, that's me, so that's
just audio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, it's audio alone. There is no video involved. It's just an audio podcast.
Crazy going, no, I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's like, well, you can kind of do the audio to the point to where they really get the impression that there's some real enthusiasm going on,
I was just before you was mentioning your brother before, I forgot to say I saw the Thriller clip.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and I thought he was the one on the left hand side.
Yes, the guy in the suit. There was looked like a businessman zombie.
Few seconds looked like he nearly missed the start of it.
Yeah, he just come popping at the last second. What it was, he was working, and of course his wife and his daughter, were up front, and they were the ones that were, basically it's all organized. But my brother and my sister-in-law, they own this. It's called Brick House Cardio Club, and it's like you say, a dance exercise type of a thing. And anyway, he was probably working on the sound. Because he does actual full blown sound for large events. They had a band, I mean, with the lights and the smoke and the, all that stuff. And so I imagine what happened was he's the one that actually started the music because he is a certified basically sound man, and he does all that stuff, and that's my brother Daryl. And so he actually does music and does full sound for large concerts and things like that. So I'm sure that's what that was. He was probably over there pushing the button to get everything going, and it ran over and got into it and did the dance,
Nobody else would have noticed, but I did because I was looking. Where is he? He said and then I thought, he's not there. And then he pretended he was laying down and getting. Oh, I've just got here at the right because I just sneak in. So I thought I'll ask him about that, but I thought nobody else would have noticed. But it's only because I was looking and said, "Hang on, there's no fella there on the left in a suit." Mm-hmm. But they did such a good job. I was so proud of them. I thought they did so well, didn't they? Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, they did. I mean, it's a very, very professional setup. The Brick House Cardio Club is actually a chain of cardio clubs, and they have the franchise for the Parkersburg, West Virginia area, and they're quite successful over there. They have a great location, and they probably have the best studio of that type in West Virginia as far as their facility and everything is just great, and they take it very seriously, and it's it's a really, really good thing for them to be able to do. And of course, Daryl's sound experience comes in handy because inside the you go in there and they start doing their routines and everything like that, and you would not believe the sound. He's got it all set up exactly just so, and it can be loud when you want it, but it's very, very well done, the whole thing is.
But that's the thing, is even with those outdoor events, if you haven't got the sound right, mm-hmm. Yeah, it might look okay, but it doesn't look impressive. You've got to have the big sound as well. It's got to be to go with, or else it's just people. Mm-hmm. You can hear too much, else you want that overpowering sound. It's just got to be right to give you the right atmosphere and that, doesn't it?
Oh, exactly. And the thing is, knowing him, you made sure that he probably had the sound all around them to where the people in the back mm-hmm. could stay with the beat. You're following the people in front of you, but at the same time, on all 4 corners, everyone can hear it exactly as it is, instead of having a delay effect toward the back of the room, or wherever they happen to be at. And so, he is quite the expert on those type of things, where it works out great.
Yeah, so that's where you get. You're into the audio, and so is he, but he's in a bit bigger way though.
Yeah, he is event audio. I'm more, I mean, but the thing is, he's mixed out records before. He's much more experienced than I am. For me, it's more that I have learned audio because I grew up with this funny little dream of being the radio announcer guy, interviewing people and, all that, I was always kind of the out there guy. So, I have learned what I've learned about audio, and what I am mainly, the one guy on or two people, maybe 3 tracks total, and we're on here and it's about spoken word. But as far as like mixing an album, I don't have any, experience doing that. But so I would definitely turn to him and say, hey, what we'll do with that. But then I have a nephew, which is Daryl's son, him and his wife, that is Skylight Productions in Parkersburg. They have, I believe it's in Vienna now. They moved and got him a brand new studio, which is really cool. I would certainly go to them to do anything really massive like that, because they have all the experience and they have quite the business going on there too themselves. And like I say, I like to talk. And so I'm the only guy doing spoken word, but they are the experienced experts whenever it comes down to, full albums, audio, video, all that stuff.
That's the thing is with all the technology and that, and like me and you can get the sound quality really good that we like it, but we don't pretend that we're experts or anything. But there's a lot of people out there that do. But people like your brother are the true experts. It's there's still those people you can't beat what they do, and that's why they've got a proper job to do it. It's just not people. Some people say, "Oh, I can do the sound," but it's not right. That's why you're paying the good dollars for that. It's not just about sticking a microphone in somebody and recording a reasonable quality on there. There's a lot more to it, isn't there? So, like being able to separate sounds out of an audio and just mix things differently. It's like people think, "Oh, just stick a microphone in somebody to record instrument," but you've got to mic everyone and make sure that you mic it in a way that the other instruments and that are not coming through that microphone as well, so you can isolate them. It's not, especially when you're doing live performance, because not everything has an isolated plug-in. Not everything's electronic.
And yet on the other hand, I remember, man, when I was in my 20s, my brother was working with this radio station that was just getting started at their church, and he came to me to ask me to do the station identification stuff, and so I was the guy saying, let's see, WMBP, Marietta, Belpre, Parkersburg, that type stuff. And so then he recorded it and did all the stuff they were supposed to do with that, but he wanted my voice on that. And again, it's not always, but my brothers, I have 4 brothers, and so all of us know and understand who's best at what. And so now again, my voice, another job, my voice may not have been for that, but he wanted my voice for this, and I just did it because, hey, he's my brother. The small church didn't have the money. They were starting a radio station, didn't have the money to pay, for a huge voiceover budget or something. And so, we just did it on a volunteer basis. And so, we each know in our family who's best at what, and you just bow to their expertise and do photography or whatever else you need, and each of us have our little fortes, and you just go with that.
That would be a good thing to do. I'd love to do that. If you could get the opportunity to be not just a radio announcer, but on one of these talk pack show things, like from midnight to dawn or midnight to 3, in the middle of you just play the occasion and then chat to people. It'd be good just to have a go at that and see what it was like.
Dr. Johnny Fever, or what was that? You remember on WKRP in Cincinnati? Did you ever see that show?
Yeah, with Lonnie Anderson.
Yes.
Forget
that. And then the guy, they called him Venus Flytrap. The guy was on the night show. And that was back when radio stations had live DJs and actually played their own music. Now everything is getting to the point to where they're just automating everything, and there might be a central location in North Carolina that covers the eastern United States on that stations or something, But that live DJ stuff, some morning shows are still doing it, but it's a big thing of the past, and most of those people are getting into podcasting, believe it or not.
Well, it's amazing. Like there's like there you've got Adam Curry,
Yes.
who used to, who used to do all the MTV stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew him when he was doing that, but he does a quite successful podcast called The No Agenda Show.
Yes, him and John C. Dvorak, who...
And I listen to that. I love them.
Well, Dvorak, I remember back in the 80s, he was a major contributor all the time in the Commodore 64 computer magazine that we had all the time. I remember him saying back in the 80s, it is physically impossible with existing phone lines, this was in the 80s, for speeds, data speeds of more than 4,800 baud. And I remember that he said it is physically impossible to get any faster than that data speeds.
Well, he was the one, I think, renowned for saying about the mouse will not go anywhere.
Yes, it's not going to be anything. Yeah,
that's just a gimmick that'll never get anywhere. But
he was a DOS man back in the day, so of course that funny little mouse, Apple mouse thing, he didn't really care for that.
But I mean, what you did when you didn't, like, I mean, I said with my age, was 54, but it's like millions of years ago, isn't it? When you can remember, I can remember when the first mouse was on a computer. Well, what do you do with this? And did you see? I know one of the old Star Treks. Mm-hmm. Did you see when they came back to San Francisco and Scott is saying, "Computer, computer," and they said, "What did you do?" He said, "No, you move it." Oh, I thought that's the interface device. So you speak.
This is a computer. He said, "Computer, hello, computer," and he said, and he said, "Oh, try," and then Dr. McCoy handed him the mouse, and he goes, "Hello, computer," and he goes, "Just use the keyboard," and he said, "A keyboard? How quaint." I love that show. It was great.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones when they came back to San Francisco in what was it when that film was made? Was about 88 or
Star Trek 4, the movie, the fourth movie of the original series was
The Voyage Home, and that's one of my favorites because I always like those ones when they're supposed to go into the past of the. But that was just modern times then. But it was quite a good film.
That's my wife's favorite all the way around. She loves that one more than any of the rest of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, Leonard Nimoy only died about 6 months ago, didn't he?
Yeah. It's been this past year, I believe, and maybe in the year before. I'm sure it was this past year, probably.
But it's gone so down quickly this year. It could be last year. It just keep thinking today. Oh, that was this year. Well, no, that was January the year before.
Well, there's already his son already has a movie out, a documentary about him. So it is possible it was the year before, like 2015.
But then again, if you were a son doing that, you know he's going to be going eventually. So you would start working on it when they're still alive. So you've got them to ask all the questions and get the ins and outs. So you should be doing that while they're still alive, shouldn't you? So
it is a lot easier to ask questions when somebody's still alive. Yes.
It's like I know we all do that. It says, I was talking to so and so before he died.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, yeah, you weren't talking to him after. Yeah. We all do that. We said,
yeah, we do.
Before he died. I said, yeah, of course. But we all do that, don't we? So we don't say, of course you do. You can't do it after they've died.
Yeah, you just wonder if you were to actually say, well, after he died, I was talking to so-and-so, and just see if you could slip it by somebody, and nobody would ever notice.
Yeah, no, that's right. So, that was just, there's the film, The Weekend at Bernie's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where they had a dead body. They were trying to figure out what they would do.
Well, have you seen, there's another film out, which is Swiss Army Man, or something. What's it called? Swiss Army Knife? Or Swiss Army Man?
Okay, I remember a movie called Swiss Army Knife, I thought, but I never saw it.
Have a look at that. That's that's similar to the Bernie's,
Weekend at Bernie's, yeah.
It's similar to that sort of thing, but it's got the Harry Potter bloke in it, grown up.
Okay.
Who's Harry Potter in that, but it's quite a strange one.
What was Daniel's last name? Harry Potter.
Yes, he's one of these ones though. I still don't think he'll have. You just can't get past him being Harry. I was never a Harry Potter fan, but it's the sort of thing. It's just Harry Potter with a beard, and it just doesn't look right. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio. It's just him trying to look older.
Yeah, they still have that little boy face. You know, their face didn't really change shape. It stayed the little round boy face. You know,
you can't see it any differently on that. It's just always the same on that. But it's and I saw another movie with him in it. Was Now You See Me 2 or something? Is that the Now You See Me?
It was a scary movie, wasn't it? Wasn't it a scary movie?
No, it was this. Because Now You See Me was this one about these magicians.
Oh, okay.
It's Mike Caine in it as well, so it's quite a good one. But he's supposed to be one of the evil ones, and he doesn't do a very good evil part. So he still looks like Harry Potter. Tries to be evil, but he's got a beard and
something else I did, which is unusual for a man of my age, but a friend of mine at work has Jared Thomas, good friend of mine. He's about my daughter's age. So anyway, he was planning on upgrading his game playing capabilities, and so he sold me his PlayStation 4 for about $100 American. Since they have a pro version coming out later on, they just now dropped the new units of the original PlayStation down to about $200. But anyway, he sold it to me for $100. And so I have a PlayStation 3 already, which I've had for years, and I play Skyrim on it and things. And yeah, that's about the extent of my gaming. But I brought it up here, and I've got it sitting here at the desk. Oh yeah, my wife bought me a pink controller as a joke. One year, so I love, that's I've got like 4 controllers, but she bought me a pink one just as a joke. I use it all the time. It doesn't matter. It's not like anybody's looking at me or something. So, but anyway, I have the PS3, and I found out there's an extra plug-in. The reason why I moved my monitor was there's an extra HDMI plug-in on the back of it, and so while I'm doing some audio processing, sometimes it'll take a little while. I can actually do it on my left monitor, and I can be playing Skyrim on my main monitor while the processing's going on, and then I can see when it's done, instead of walking away to go downstairs or something. And then, I come back about a half hour later, but I can just sit right here. I'll be able to watch Netflix right here on my screen. And while the computer has all of its resources to do the processing it's doing, like you're processing an hour of audio, sometimes it takes a little bit. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You know how to get an audience, like we don't have.
Oh, exactly.
How to get an audience to watch you is just stream your video games for 3 hours. You'll get thousands of views.
Well, that's true.
People watching people play. I think that would bore me to tears if I wasn't the one playing. But people.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I enjoy watching my daughter and her fiance whenever they play. I mean, they're gamers extraordinaire, and I enjoy watching it the same way I would watch a television show. It's like, you get excited. You see something about to eat them or whatever, and then they come around and they do all their fancy stuff. And I kind of enjoy watching them play better than I do myself. But once I was playing on Skyrim, and all of a sudden, my future son-in-law was watching me, and all of a sudden the dragon priest comes up out of this sarcophagus, and I just turned around with a bow and went whack, and he just went oh, and went down in there. And he turned around and looked at me and he said, "You just killed a dragon priest with one arrow." And I said, "Yeah." And my daughter said, "He's the game breaker." Because I'd done enough smithing and enchanting and stuff like that on my arrow to where I had that kind of firepower, and I just tore him up. So those are some of the most ugly things you run into on Skyrim. But anyway, there's some other games now I guess I could play, but
there must be something into that, because you remember the Justin TV, where we used to do quite a bit of streaming, because we used to, Rick and I used to stream through Justin TV, and that was one of the best ones to do that. And then that got sold for nearly about $800 million and to Twitch, and then that's all they do on that is just sort of stream the video game, but you can't just do the normal streaming it on anymore. But I thought the people who did Justin TV, they must have been laughing, thinking to get that much money for it.
Well,
because people are lucky these days, because it would have cost a lot to set up, and there's not a lot of money coming in from them things.
Well, there are actually networks being set up now. I mean, in Japan, they actually have competitions with video games the same way we have football or soccer. You all will call it the same thing, football. But, I mean, it's actually professional athlete, you know, types of competitions with these things. I mean, they actually have leagues and they have all this stuff and the best players, and people are making real money playing video games. And my friend was telling me that there's now something that if you are the top player of this particular game, there's a game that is specifically coming out. I don't remember the name of it, that you can actually, if you're in the top however many of these players, that you will be invited to tournaments.
Oh,
If you're
goodness.
rated and in the top areas, top echelons of this game, and it's an online game you're playing, that you will be invited to these tournaments and you play these people and you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars playing a video game. I mean, so it's, you always say, well, you hear about these rock bands back in the 60s and 70s to where their teachers told them, you'll never amount to anything. You all are just a bunch of goof offs or anything like that. Well, people say that about gamers today.
Okay.
Just
They
sit
can
there.
make some money about the sounds of
Well,
it.
yeah. I mean, then all of a sudden, I'm sorry, we were wrong. No, they're not deadbeats. They're actually making more money than we are, that type of thing. So it's, it's not going to happen, just right away. But I think eventually that may end up being an actual occupation, that people
You'll
have.
you have to go back and watch that Bruce Willis film Surrogates. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
That they're all the beautiful people, aren't they, doing all the wonderful things? But then you find out that they're just big slobs that can't get up out of the chair because they're all in virtual reality. So that's the sort of thing. Nobody's doing any physical exercise anymore. So I think that's a good thing about having the dog. It makes you get up and get out and do some physical exercise. And I quite enjoy walking, but it makes it even more pleasurable if you've got a reason to do it as well. If you've got the dog, you can like say, I'll just go for a walk, but the dog will come. And sometimes I'm sure he says, oh, not again. I've had enough today. He said, I don't need to go for another walk. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I was going to say, that's a good thing with all these podcasts where you can get to listen, because you can go for a walk and still listen to them. And that's when I try and find time to listen to a lot of these audio podcasts, is when I'm doing the gardening or taking the dog for a walk, things like that.
Have you ever listened to us on the audio podcast?
I've listened to once, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's kind of entertaining. I find myself, when I'll go back and watch the video that we do, I'm laughing out loud sometimes. I mean, because, we laugh now, but then you're watching and it's like, because that was just funny. And so we just start laughing about stuff. And I do the same thing in the audio. I listen to it on the way in the car, and all of a sudden, it's, I'll just start laughing because it's funny. I have been, as far as ratings and stuff go and getting more people to listen, I have decided, I've thought at some point that I may have to break down and bring in the official internet secret weapon that gets you more viewers than anything else. It's small and it's furry, and it's here.
It's a cat.
Yeah,
It's a cat.
we have our cat. You bring a cat up and hold it up and, parade it around, make it stay stuff, and everything like that. And it's okay, then we'll be set. Yeah, fucking.
Get a camera, a bowl of milk, and just have the cat.
Yeah, and then do something to. The thing is, the cat doesn't look mean. It's not like Grumpy Cat.
No, that's
just a normal cat. There's anything like that. It's a real sweetie. It's a real sweetie, and she's real fuzzy and but real sweet and everything. And does have, she probably look a little scared like this, but deer in a headlight look. That'd be all right though. That'll get it done. We'll do that.
I think we're nearly at the. We've gone way over what we do, because I think we started about 10 minutes early. We're nearly 10 minutes over. I think I've just got carried away again. So.
Well, there we are.
I'm not too sure. I may not be here for next week. Because I've got meetings, because with the time change in Europe, we've got a couple of hour meeting next week, but then that takes it into 7:00 at night at work. So I won't be leaving then, because it's before then it would have only been 6:00, but and we've got one on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So,
Oh, okay. So it's all 3 days. It's not like we could bump it up a day and do it. Yeah.
no, that's right. So I've got
Okay.
it on that. But at the moment, that's what it is at the moment. So I don't think I will be. But
Okay.
hey, if you are around, we'll still check in. If that's not an inconvenience, I'll plan to be here. But if I'm not, but as I said, I should be, because if I do 7, a couple of hours, still it's a couple of hours till 9 o'clock. So we're fortunate with the time change at the moment. And as we were saying before, yes, if you can't do it, but it's only you've got to rearrange your time to do something else, like not have anything to eat. So,
Yeah, that would be bad. Well, I don't know if you just want to eat while we're talking about it. You're over there feeding your face, and I'll carry it while you're having your burger. You know.
At the stage now, I think I'll bring something into work to have before the meeting, because I've got to the stage now. I don't like having tea at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I like to have it be finished by 6 o'clock. Even then, I like to have it over and done with, nice and early. It just feels too heavy these days if you have it much later. So anyway, so that looks like it's a wrap for another show. So thank you everybody for watching, and
next week or the next time, episode 28 next time.
Yeah, we should be here. Okay, bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening. Links for a free subscription, feedback, and everything else we do is at holbrooknewmedia.com. You can find all things Geoff Blanchard at geoffblanchard.com.